Are squid skin cells the next big step toward invisibility? Find out this week on Light Matters. This is Light Matters for April 1st, 2015. I'm your host, Justine Murphy. James is off today. This week, we'll hear about machine vision highlights from last week's Automate trade show, and we'll catch up with some of the latest research news. And at different points in today's show, you'll see 3 keywords come up on your screen that complete a phrase. Email us that phrase at lightmatters@photonics.com, and we'll enter you into a drawing for a $50 Amazon gift card. And the first 5 people to email us will also receive a Photonics Media t-shirt. Thermal imaging cameras are now available to consumers. This is an exciting time for the average person, as practical applications are being invented as quickly as the cameras are being produced. I spoke this week with Seek Thermal co-founder Tim Fitzgibbons. He mentioned strong application potential in several areas. One that he calls prosumer, professional consumers such as building inspectors or contractors looking to make a dwelling more energy efficient. Another is in safety and security, aiding police, fire, and other emergency response personnel. Outdoor activities such as camping or even keeping an eye on your dog in the backyard at night are being touted as the most fun but least defined, according to Fitzgibbons.
So we're finding that as we try to group these uses, we're finding those are the 3 major categories, at least the ones that are volunteering themselves right now.
Thermal imaging cameras even have the potential to provide night vision for vehicles. And one of the most notable innovations is a mini thermal camera that attaches to your smartphone. On an upcoming episode of Light Matters, contributing editor Joey Esposito will demonstrate a bit of this innovation right here in our studio. You won't want to miss that. But now, here's Joey with a story on squid skin.
Thanks, Justine. So I'm in the middle of this big Harry Potter reread that's been quite enjoyable, and as luck would have it, there's a story coming out of a meeting of the American Chemical Society this week that's kind of sort of related. Throughout the series, Harry uses something called the Cloak of Invisibility, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Most of us have dreamt of being invisible at one time or another, and it looks like researchers at the University of California, Irvine have too. They've turned to squids, specifically a protein in their skin cells called reflectin, to fabricate a sort of tape that soldiers could theoretically carry with them and apply to any surface to protect it from infrared detection. While tests are only preliminary, and certainly not ready for field use, the team's goal is to create something, quote, inexpensive and completely disposable. Not quite a mythical invisibility cloak, but the researchers are hopeful that developing this squid scotch tape could one day lead to bigger innovations in wearable stealth technologies. So maybe one day we can finally get our hands on that cloak. Back to you, Justine.
Thanks, Joey. After the break, we'll check out the latest in machine vision technology from last week's Automate show. But first, a word from our sponsor.
My name's Susanne. I'm a product manager at GreenTech, which is a Swiss-based company that produces thermal laser power detectors. If you want to find out more about our products, have questions or ideas on how to use them, please visit us on our webpage, greentech.com, and just ask your questions. We will be happy to find a solution for you. Thank you.
Now I'm joined in the studio by Rod Pedrati, editor of Industrial Photonics magazine, who's here to tell us about his experience at Automate 2015, which he attended last week. Welcome back, Rod.
Thanks, Justine. The convention was held in Chicago, and it was sponsored by A3. Now, the convention is the largest North American automation convention, and more than 1,000 companies were on hand. Lincoln Electronics showcased its robotic laser pipe welding system. Now, the system uses a laser visioning inspection system. It's virtually impossible to produce a perfectly cylindrical pipe, so when cutting or welding, this has to be taken into account. The system's laser visioning analyzes the pipe and then starts to weld or cut the pipe. It then rescans it, processes the information, makes calculated adjustments, and then begins another cycle. Datalogic had on tap a pattern recognition inspection system. Now, it identifies items, for example, beverage bottles, based on their labeling and their artwork. The system analyzes the image and, based on what it has archived in its database, identifies what the beverage is. The more complex and unique the graphics are, the better it works in determining what the product is. Photonics showed off a parts bin picking system that uses 3D stereoscopic vision. Now, it uses various optical-based sensors, including a device that's more or less an industrial-powered Xbox Kinect, to view the shape and location of parts in the bin. The 3D vision allows the robot to sense depth, so it knows right where the object is, including on the Z-axis. So it's very similar to how our own two eyes provide us with a sense of depth. And to round it out, how about a 3D printed robotic arm that can be opted out with an image recognition camera within the center of the gripper, between the prongs? That was Festo's approach with its bionic handling system, which was modeled after an elephant's trunk. Now, originally developed for R&D purposes, Festo is now seeing this as potentially having very real-world applications. Now, this is just a summation of some of the highlights of what I saw at Automate 2015, the technologies, all of which truly impressive.
Thanks, Rod. It sounds like you saw some really interesting stuff out there in Chicago.
Absolutely.
3 separate research groups recently announced findings that could help squeeze light-based technologies onto microchips to speed up computing. A spatially variant printed photonic crystal developed by a team from the University of Texas at El Paso and the University of Central Florida has the ability to bend a light beam at a right angle. The honeycomb structure was created using multi-photon direct laser writing, a form of 3D printing, and an inexpensive low refractive index photopolymer. Their work was published in Optics Express. Meanwhile, a team from the University of Washington and Stanford University has developed a nanoscale laser incorporating a photonic crystal cavity with a monolayer of tungsten diselenide. Its small size and low operating energy, about 27 nanowatts, could make it a candidate for use as a light source in photonic integrated circuits. This work was published in Nature. And finally, researchers at Rutgers University and NIST have developed a plasmonic phase modulator that could be used in optical switching applications. The team said it should be possible to scale the device down to less than a square micron, making it significantly smaller than MEMS, lithium niobate, and other optical switching technologies used today. The research appeared in Nature Photonics. And that's it for this week's show. If you spotted the 3 keywords, email us the completed phrase for your chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week on Light Matters.